Apple had their event on 9/7/2022. Here's a quick rundown of what you need to know about the Apple event. They released new watches, new Airpods, and new iPhones. So let's start with the Apple Watch. First of all, the Apple Watch, they basically changed and added a few more models and series. They also added a new Ultra series for the people that basically are more outdoorsy or more going, hiking, scuba diving, more adventurous type of person. It's got a bigger battery. It has better GPS, crash detection, and the privacy settings. Kind of like fall detection. It's kind of the same thing, except you crash of your vehicle. So if your vehicle does get crashed into and it detects that, it will start to notify the emergency services and notify your emergency contacts. It's using a 3-axis gyroscope, high G-force accelerometer. They go into a whole thing on the Apple video. The short version is it's detecting when your body goes through a force, a G-force basically, that you should not be sustaining. So I'd like to see how this works, but they really just didn't give a full example of like how it actually detects. They just said that they did a lot of testing and that they were doing it with a lot of cars and flip overs and rollovers and front end collisions and all this other stuff. But I don't understand how a watch would be able to determine that. But we can imagine this is probably going to come out in the news that my watch decided to call, emergency services and all my emergency contacts, and the only thing I was doing was just driving to work, So that makes me feel a little nervous, the fact that it may or may not work 100%. The Ultra series, they're really focused on this whole action button. They're really like talking about the color and all this other thing. It's great. They added a button to a watch. I'm sorry, but that's not revolutionary. There's been buttons on watches for a very long time. They finally added one. I guess they finally figured out that not everybody has access to the touchscreen on the actual watch itself. And sometimes a button is just better. And I think they finally figured that out. And that's what you're getting with your Ultra series watch. Cellular built into every watch. It's more durable. It withstands harsh conditions like water, rain, snow, diving, scuba diving. There's some other features that will keep you safe during your entire trip underwater. They do have a decompression limits warning, and it lets you know that you're ascending too fast. That is something that a dive computer can probably tell you. So a dive computer, their prices for that range around like $300 and up for a dive computer. It's a lot larger than an Apple Watch. It may be harder to use under the water compared to that. I'm not sure. I'm not a diver. But it's kind of cool that they put it all into one watch, and I think it's very innovative that they're doing something different than just what everybody else is doing. Even let's get beyond diving. Let's say if you're even a runner, that type of watch would probably help you out with running through a marathon or running through forest, because large trees have a lot of issues with GPS. When you're running through that forest, you're going to get a little bit better accuracy because it's using two sets of GPS trackers for you. The pricing is pretty good for what Apple is charging right now. They didn't really raise their prices, but they really didn't actually lower their prices a lot for all of these devices, but you are getting newer features for about the same price as what you paid maybe a year ago. Apple Watch SE is $249 with GPS and $299 with GPS and cellular. You can pre-order them if they're available. They're actually available to ship on September 16th for shipping. The Apple Watch Series 8 is also in the range of $399 and up, depending on the model that you're looking at. The Apple Watch Series 8 is more your adult watch. It's more like, it's got a lot more band options. It's got a lot more nicer look to it. It has a lot of different types of looks and bands with it. So it is a little different in that aspect, but the features are kind of the same between those two. The Apple Ultra Series is $799 pre-order, which is available right now, and shipping on September 23rd. Probably more of you enthusiasts just to get out there, but if you want the best of the best, the Ultra series is better, even if you just want a better battery life. New AirPods have the H2 chip for better connectivity to your Apple devices, better audio experience with a lower distortion audio driver. What does that mean? The long story short, the H2 chip that they're putting in there is kind of the same thing as what they had last time. The only difference is they wrote better software for it, and it takes advantage of that software. Spatial audio is just basically you use your phone to scan your ear, and then it figures out the best way in the software to trick your ear into thinking it sounds better. Again, kind of gimmicky. I feel like that's a little weird. Honestly, that's like setting the equalizer on your phone. If you just spent a few more minutes and played with the equalizer, you could probably figure that out for yourself. They also have another feature called active noise cancellation. Almost every other in-ear headphone has had this. Adaptive transparency, where that you know, if you're walking around, you can actually hear other things around you that are important. So the adaptive transparency, basically, yeah, it's good. The active noise cancellation, that's great, but it's been around for a while. Music becomes a little more clearer, and it becomes more, I wouldn't say more bass, it would be more just more of a clear sound. 6.1 inch iPhone 14, 6.7 inch iPhone 14 Plus. Basically a better display. The A15 Bionic processor is what they kept pushing, but honestly, I think that was in the previous generation as well. They did change they have better camera lenses for lower light photos and faster response times for video, better stabilization than previous models for video. Photos they were showing on the video, the problem is that they are taken by people that are obviously photographers, you know, and if you're a photographer, great. You probably know how to use you probably know how to use your iPhone to the more advanced features. But I would rather see a lot of photos being taken by just amateur people just to see how well the software works. What they also talked about, Apple goes on and on about the front-facing camera. I'm not impressed by the amount of space it takes up on the front face of the camera. Now, one of my other technicians that really uses Apple for very often, like for his daily driver, has stated that it requires, for Face ID, it requires a lot more sensors for the front-facing camera. And that may be the reason why there's always a bigger notch at the top, which they're, by the way, changing the name of the notch, which I'm going to get to. But why their sensor requires this is because it requires that sensor to identify that person's face and for it to not be fake so easily. I've used Face ID on the Apple device. It is quick, it is fast, it is efficient, it is hard to trick. They really went into this. They really are pushing the notch, and they renamed it to the Dynamic Island. I don't think putting a fancy name on something will make it any better. I just think it's taking up a lot of the screen real estate, and it's useless space when you're watching a video, or it's useless space when you're just scrolling through, you know, your social media or something. Or maybe if you're just accepting a phone call, or if you're on let's say a Zoom meeting or something on your phone, you're missing that little quarter of piece. And I say little, but it's not really that little. It's pretty large. You're losing like that, you know, that black area. The dynamic island, as what they're calling it, will also draw more attention to it. I think we could be better implemented. I think they need to really rethink that. But again, if this doesn't bother you at all, since you're already a part of the Apple Notch universe, then it probably doesn't bother you so much. Maybe it's an addition and maybe it's good for you. But personally, I think it just draws attention to something that nobody really wants. Tell me in the comments if you think I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, okay, tell me I'm wrong. But tell me why you think that notch actually is better for you, and you know, if you have a really good reason, I'll definitely applaud you for it. iPhone 14 will start at $799, and the iPhone 14 Plus will start at $899. At this price, it's not bad. It's perfectly fine. iPhone 14 Pro starts at $999. The iPhone 14 Pro Max starts at $1099. It's not overkill for what Apple is usually charging, but it's also not way underpriced either. I think it's priced perfectly fine for the fact that we are actually just not really making that many changes. My recommendations, okay? I am not an Apple universe person, but I talked to my technician, and as well as I talked to myself, and got a really good idea of the price to performance to new features and how you should really go about if you're going to want to spend your money. If you own an iPhone 13, there really is no need to upgrade your phone. I would just get a watch instead if you don't have a watch. If you do have a watch, maybe upgrade your watch, because the watch is a little nicer. They did add a few more features to the watch. They added some more sensors to the watch. I would probably do that. You know, I would go with more of the Series 8 watch as an adult. If you have a child, you probably go with the SE watch because it's a little cheaper, and it's also more kid friendly. It's more kid looking like. They have a lot more kid bands for that. The Series 8 watch is perfectly fine for your everyday person. You're tracking your steps. You know, you're not an athlete runner or anything. If you're just hitting the gym and you're doing your regular workouts, or maybe you're working out at home, lifting some weights, doing your thing, you know, the Series 8 is perfectly fine for you, and it has the regular tracking, has great notifications, it has all the rest of the bells and whistles that you would ever want. The Ultra is not for you. The Ultra is only for the person that is insanely outdoors. You know, you're doing a lot of trails, you're doing a lot of hiking, you're doing scuba diving. If you're buying an iPhone, or changing, let's say, from Android to iPhone, then I would go with the iPhone Pro Max. Just go all the way up to the full level. Don't mess around with anything less, because you're buying brand new. You know, at that point, you're better off buying the best, phone with the best camera, with the best size screen, and all the rest of the other details. But again, this has always been in the iPhone 13 too. So if you want to save money, and you could get maybe a refurbed phone for an iPhone 13 and save a little bit of money, maybe skip this generation and wait for the next, and maybe just buy the iPhone 13. That's another option if you just don't have the money to go to iPhone 14 Pro Max. AirPods. I'd say skip this whole thing, but that's because I don't like the look of them. I don't like the feel of them. They're just not really for me. I also have an Android, so I'm probably missing out on a few features as well. So I just don't think it's going to be a hard pass on it for me. But if you already have your previous generation AirPods, the new ones, I think is the transparency mode is not really available on all versions of the AirPods. So going to the newest one would probably be better or best for you. Yeah, so that's basically it. There's nothing else to really go over. That they really didn't have much to offer in this event. The event had a lot of commercials, a lot of push and hype for the products, which it should be. There was a lot of stuff that was just pretty much a repeat from last year. So this is a small upgrade to what they really are pushing for. I'm hoping that the next event they may have something a little bit more. I usually enjoy the developer events better, because the developer events are more interesting to me personally. This is cool that we're getting better hardware, but the hardware is not that revolutionary. It's just another little step up the train of thought and train of going forward. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you want to know about all of our upcoming videos. If you don't like this video, you're okay and welcome to hit dislike, but be sure to hit it twice. Please sound off in the comments below. I do read them, even with the stupid bots. I still read them, and I will still respond to them. So till the next video, we'll see you soon. Have a great day.